It's October 31st, full moon tonight. I'm planting the rest of my shallots today. I've got most of them in the ground. I'm planting true French shallots, Allium mascaneni. All other varieties of shallots are just variations of Allium cepa, which is your average bulb onion. They're kind of like a bunching onion. All very good in their own unique way, but to get that true shallot flavor, you gotta grow true French shallots, Allium mascaneni. And got most of them broken down into individual bulbs. Just wanted to show that, as some of you know, shallots grow in big bunches, and you want to break them down like this. And sometimes you'll get a big shallot bulb, and some of them are smaller than others. Sometimes it's hard to tell, but you just got to feel them, and you can feel the crease in between each bulb, and you got to break them down. So you see here, this is three or four, actually four bulbs. You see this one, breaking it down, and they'll break down like that. See, this looks like one single bulb, but it's actually, if you feel it, there's a crease in there, and break it down, you got two bulbs. The larger bulbs tend to grow larger shallots. The smaller bulbs still grow good sized shallots, and they seem to actually grow larger clusters from what I've noticed. So you just want to make sure you got them all broken down nicely. And once you do, you're going to plant them about 6 to 8 inches apart. And just like the garlic, I'm going to space them out evenly. If you're low on space, you can totally space them 4 inches, and they will do fine. But I like to give them lots of room for less competitiveness in between each plant. Just like garlic, shallots love minerals and not too much nitrogen. It's a good idea to lay down hardwood ash for potassium, phosphorus, magnesium, lots of macronutrients. This sandy loam soil here is very rich in macronutrients and minerals and stuff like that, and it does really well for the allium crops. A good compost is a good idea too. So I'm going to lay these out and get planting. Shallots are some of my favorite of all the allium crops. Not only do they have such a unique, sweet, pungent flavor, but they also have amazing storage qualities. So as far as growing your own food goes and preservation goes, they're a very important crop for me. Why it's good to plant them in the fall is because when you overwinter them and give them a good vernalization, they develop better high quality bulbs, larger bulbs, and it's really about the flavor. They develop such a unique flavor that you really wouldn't get if you spring planted them. Just like the garlic for shallots, anytime from late October to mid-November is perfect for zone 5B, zone 6. If you're in a warmer zone, you easily have until late November, mid-December to plant them. And I'd say for shallots, you even have a little bit more of a window, just as long as the ground hasn't frozen solid. It's good to definitely plant them after some hard frosts, and just like garlic, you want to get that window so that they do develop a nice root system, but they don't necessarily sprout too much, because it can expose them to the cold temperatures throughout the winter. So later on in the video, I will show how I like to mulch the shallots. Like I said earlier, I do like to mulch them, but I don't think it's fully necessary. I like to mainly do it for weed suppression in the for the early spring, early summer type of stuff, just to keep the competitiveness down. One of the main reasons I like to lay out the shallots, and I do that for the garlic too, before I actually plant them, is it helps me get a nice even grid spacing out. I like to stagger them, as you can see here, in between the rows. So it helps me make sure that I stagger them properly and everything like that, and it makes the most of my space. When I actually go to plant them, I do it a little bit differently than the garlic, because you don't want to plant them quite as deep. And you'll see that I mulch them a little bit differently than the garlic is also, because they're a bit more hardy and they don't necessarily need quite as much mulch as the garlic does. When I actually go to plant it, just like the garlic, you want the root end on the bottom, the pointy end on the top. And I actually just press it into the soil and kind of just scatter the soil over the top of it like that. So just press it into the soil, just like that. And you'll actually have the very, very tip of the shallot. I like to keep that exposed above the surface of the soil. So it's very simple, it's very quick, and I've even left the shallots not mulched at all, and they've done fine. I do like to mulch them because it helps with the weed suppression in the early spring and everything like that. But that's really the main reason that I do mulch them. I don't think that they really require it for overwintering in 5B, especially with the snow is a really good insulator too, so that helps as well. But like I said, one of my favorite crops to grow as far as alliums go, and I'm going to get all these into the soil. unlike the garlic, the shallots don't have as strong of a shoot that pops up. So you don't want to mulch it too heavily, and a lot of people advise actually against mulching it. But I still like to mulch it a little bit for weed suppression mainly in the spring and early summer and stuff like that. So I'll just give it a good 2 inches of leaves, and usually in the spring I'll just kind of walk along the rows and make sure none of the shoots are having trouble popping through the mulch, and if they are, I'll just scoot them away a little bit, because I have witnessed mulching too heavy on shallots and it actually will either kill or really suppress the shoot. The shoot will be, you know, white or yellow under it because it's not getting photosynthesized, and it's just kind of laid down on the ground, and it can really suppress the growth, because you really want it to get going in the spring as soon as it can. So about 2 inches of mulch, and I like to use, just like in the garlic, I like to use hardwood leaves. They're just readily available here. I collect them along the driveway and in places where I'm not really taking them away from like organic matter away from the forest or anything like that. So I just take it along the driveway and stuff like that. If you don't have property where you can collect leaves, it's really easy to call your local landscape company and see if they have them. It's not as ideal as getting it like where you know exactly where it came from, but usually hardwood leaves are pretty good to come by. Grass clippings can be used too, but obviously if you're getting it from an outside source, you really want to make sure that that grass hadn't been sprayed with any pesticides, which is such a normal practice, unfortunately. Other good things are straw. Again, if you're not collecting it yourself, you really want to make sure that it wasn't sprayed. I've also used like millet stalks or corn stalks and stuff like that. You can, like, I've used corn stalks just straight up, but you can even just like lay them down and go over them with a mower or a bush hog and chop them up a little bit, and that's even better. But my favorite again is to use just hardwood leaves, so readily available, and really if you don't have access to them, it really is easy to call around to your landscape companies and see who's collecting leaves and have them bring them over, because usually it costs them money to get rid of them, so they're happy to bring them to you, especially if you're en route with what they're doing. And so I just like to rake them over onto the shallots and let them go for the winter to about 2 inches. So as you can see, I have a bit more to spread, but it's going to be another week or so before all the rest of the leaves fall and I can collect enough to spread it all and have the time to get it all spread correctly. I just wanted to get this video finished so I could post it. I hope it gives you a good idea on how I like to mulch my shallots. Like I said, you don't necessarily have to mulch shallots. They're very, very hardy, and you definitely do not want to over mulch them. But I hope this gives you a good idea. Not too thick of a layer, as you can see. I mean, I have it just a couple inches, and with the rain and the snow and everything, it's going to compress down even more. So that's how I like to mulch my shallots and how I like to plant my shallots.